how we feel valuable and how others view us as valuable.
Yeah.
So maybe why not give me a raise? So here's the raise that I propose, 10% or something like that.
Just telling me that no, they are all very important. How can I survive without being in those meetings?
Everybody, and welcome to the testgurutv. The dude sitting next to me, his name is Jani Haikala. He's an ultimate champion of testing.
Hi, and here next to me is Antti, a tireless testing advocate, a trainer, a public speaker, and an author.
And this testgurutv, this is a weekly show about hardcore questions in testing and quality assurance, because this is a show about mental health in software industry. Everybody from the clients to the coders, they're just so much happier when software works.
Nice. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. So, what's the question of the week?
Or the day, or the week.
Yeah. So what's the question?
The question is as follows.
You sparked my curiosity.
Here it comes. I feel overworked and underpaid.
I feel overworked and underpaid.
Yeah. What can I do?
I feel overworked and underpaid. This is like a career question for testers as well, I feel like, in a sense, touching the same topics.
Yeah.
So yeah, overworked and underpaid. So there is like this sense underneath the hood of the question. I hear this sense of like feeling that I am not enough in a sense. I feel like my work is not valued.
Yeah.
And that's the underpaid part of it. And then overworked is somehow overwhelmed by all the stuff that's like on the table. So it's like so there are like, I think like this addresses two like pain points that like are the biggest ones that I have had on my career as well.
Especially among the top.
Yeah, because I was all the time overwhelmed. I've been like on a few projects where the test manager was actually had to go on a burnout leave like 2, 3, 4 months. So like two separate projects like in row. So there in the world of testing, I admit that there has been some inherent problems in terms of being overworked. So that's part, at least from my point of view. I've been in those projects, and luckily I haven't been one of those who's
I recognize that. I recognize that also, and I think it's still up to till today. Still the situation. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that you can never really test everything. There's always something to test.
So, there's always something more. There's always more expectations from someone else, and then there is this subtle nagging sensation in your mind that there could have been something more. And then there is a fear, the fear that what if I missed something? They will come come question me, and they'll interrogate me. Why didn't you find this bug? So it's like always this like sense of not being complete with what I do.
Exactly.
So there's always more work and always this feeling of incompleteness with whatever that I do as a tester.
Yeah.
So I think the overworked, overwhelmed feeling comes from those both sources, from outside and from inside as well. And that's something that I never really thought before this question, like earlier, that the feeling of overworkedness, I'm not really sure if that's a word, the feeling of overworkedness, it really comes from inside. Yeah,
that's true. And I think there's both components to it, like you said.
Yeah. Obviously, there are triggers that push you to that feeling.
Yeah.
But then you generate that feeling from inside anyways.
Yeah.
By having like some kind of like this overwhelm in your brain that there was this and there was that, and I just like cannot keep up with anything. So in that sense, it's the mess that's around you that generates the feeling from inside you.
Yeah.
That would be like the approach.
And there's probably you need some clarity in that situation where you don't really know what's actually going on.
Exactly.
So one thing maybe to start with would be just to find out what actually is taking up your time.
Yeah.
Make notes, for example. Keep track of what are you spending your time on.
Yeah, like the activities that you are actually working on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember this one project, for example, where A lot of testers in that team were complaining that they don't have enough time to test.
Yeah.
And whenever they get to test, there's too little time. They don't get to test as much as they would like to. And then we sort of had a look at where the time is being used.
Yeah.
And it turns out they had a lot of, and I mean a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
From the morning until the evening, throughout the day, every day. And sort of tried to suggest that maybe, just maybe, not all of those meetings are important. So which ones would you like to keep and which ones can you sort of get rid of? Yeah. And the resistance was quite immense.
Yeah.
Actually, they were just telling me that no, they are all very important. How can I survive without being in those meetings?
Yeah. So in a sense, I hear that like big part of how we feel valuable and how others view us as valuable.
Yeah.
It comes from we being able to cover the product in some areas through the means of testing,
right?
Bugs. And then there are other activities that are not covering the product, namely meetings. You know, for example, just like setting up for testing. You know, maybe you need the database in certain kind of position, and maybe you need something from the version control, whatever, you know. So like setting up the stuff, you know, planning what to test and how to test. And then there is, if you find bugs, you know, you need to investigate, debug, get some kind of logs and reports and discussion with testers. So there's like a ton of different kinds of activities, and only one of them is the coverage that gives us satisfaction and gives that sense of value from other people.
That's a very good point, because quite often I found the managers tend to think that, let's say you work as a tester for 40 hours a week. It's just testing time.
Yeah.
The testing runs.
You got a week of testing.
Yeah. You have 40 hours of testing. You can run quite a few test cases. But then there's if we even forget the meetings and just think about the time spent on testing.
Yeah.
You need to do setup. You need to, then you get to run the test cases. Then you find a bug. You need to start investigating that bug.
Yeah.
Then you need to report the bug. Then you maybe come back to the testing, test a little bit more. Then there's an update. You find out that you need to sort of go back.
Rerun what you run before.
Yeah, exactly. And so on. So there's a lot of different activities, and also finding that out.
Yeah.
Where when you're actually doing testing, where you're spending time on that.
Yeah, I actually have a favorite tool that involves pen and paper again.
Yeah.
So you want to hear it?
I definitely want to hear it.
Because like that favorite tool is like, I usually like think about 4 or 5 different like categories of things. Like meetings, setting up stuff, you know, reporting.
Yeah.
And then one of them is coverage.
Yeah.
In terms of things that I do, like 3, 4, maybe 5 things that I have like activity categories. And then I when I start the day working as a tester, I have this empty paper where I have all the categories there at the top of the paper. I write them down there. What are the categories? And then I set my timer, you know, in an interval of 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And every time when the timer goes off, I push repeat. So the timer goes off every 15 minutes. And then when the timer goes off, I just quickly pause to think, the past 15 minutes, what was the main category of activities that I worked on? And then I just like, what do you call tukkimiehen kirjanpito in English? So a tally, that's a tally in English.
Yeah, right.
So I take a tally, you know, I just like write one like, tally, I'm not sure how I just like write the number of like how many times 50 blocks that I've been on that category. So at the end of the day, I would have this tally of like different categories where I actually find out that I've been in the coverage zone for example only 3 blocks of 15 minutes, and then there's been this other shit that's been happening during the day, and that's what allows me to think about like what has been keeping me from the coverage, or what's the like the distribution of the tally that I would want to see, and what are the things that I could start doing in the structure of my day to bring it bring it towards that like ideal situation. And then it will give me a tool to show others, my bosses or my colleagues, that this is how I spent my time. Do you see any problems with this?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, you have only 3 bars in your coverage zone. Why is that? Yeah, because I have my bars in every other zone there on the paper. So that would like provide you with a tool to like go do discussion with the boss, with the client, or the colleagues. So here's my tally. What do you make of this?
So then you actually find those problematic areas. For example, if you're spending a lot of time on the setup,
exactly,
doing that type of stuff, if there's something that the developers could do for you to help speed it up and spend less time on that area, whatever it is.
And then that would bring us to the discussion of being underpaid, I would say, because like figuring out what's your distribution of like how you spend your time, and what are the categories and specific things in those categories that provide most value to the organization that you serve, and thinking about that in terms of, for example, money. So like, where does the money come from and why? And how could you be of service? How could you be of more value to that? So minimizing your engagement in the areas that doesn't really bring value, and then maximizing your engagement in the areas that really brings value. And then when you spend more time in the area that provides value, then you need to be able to make the value visible to others. So you need to learn, in a sense, to market your results. You need to learn how to create the reports in a way that you bring it to your managers, your clients, for example, and just like show them, this is the value that I've been bringing to the table.
Yeah, and that would be my point also, to sort of learn to speak about testing and making the testing visible. Sort of, first of all, obviously, whatever you have been doing, sort of making that visible, what has been done, what hasn't yet been done, what needs to be done, so that you give a clear idea of what's being done, what we still need to do, and so on. So you actually make it visible that you have an idea what is needed and what needs to be done. You understand testing and you know, you've got things covered, but you have a clear picture of what's going on, what needs to be done.
And this visibility is like, it's like really subtle thing that most people think that people don't want to be disturbed. That's why maybe they ask when they want to know, you know. But here's a hack, you know, to it. You don't need to stand out much to be like of like this priceless value for the organization. And you can stand out by for example, every Friday, text your boss and tell what you achieved this week. Just like send them a WhatsApp. Hey boss, here's what I did this week and here's what I noticed, and it doesn't recover any action from your point. I just wanted to let you know, and here we are, and this is what's going to happen next week, something like that.
Right.
It's like a week, like 3 bullets why this week was a success. One thing that we need to address next week, for example, like an executive summary, and just like in that, just small tweaks in how you engage with your organization.
Right.
That also are starting to create visibility for not only testing, but for you. And that creates this sense that what you're doing is actually really valuable. And then when you suddenly would not do those like small reports on texting or something like that, that would feel like a loss to some. And if you weren't there, we would not have found the showstopper bug on Wednesday and stuff like that. So there's like like this fear of loss in a sense, and this at the same time you build like more visibility to the value that you bring to the table. So at the same time, more value and this subtle sense of fear of losing you. So those 2 things that will build your opportunity to go through the negotiation, but the race.
That's really, I love it. That's a really good idea. And just to sort of make sure that we're not talking about setting a weekly testing report. We have been running 275 test cases and pass rate was 93. That can be created by anyone, but just make it more personal.
Somehow I want to serve you. And obviously you also should do a weekly testing report. That's one of the things that can create value. So it's everything like in a sense you just like maybe sometimes repeat the message in different ways and different places. So you create, every time when you do that, you create more visibility. And sometimes it feels like it's ignored, and sometimes it's really ignored, because like most of the times people ignore what you say. And that's how it goes. People are just mostly concerned about themselves, and they ignore everybody else. And maybe sometimes they can remember something that you said last week, but they have to like ask you again, what was it, the thing that you said on last Tuesday, and that things. But when you repeat the exercise, there are those moments, every 1 in 10 messages gets noticed, and they read that, yeah, wow, that was cool, and stuff like that. So you need to bring in the numbers in your visibility work, in your messaging, your colleagues and clients and bosses. And eventually when you bring up the numbers, then you start to get noticed more. And that's how like the influence of testing is built. Because like testers need the ability to influence decisions of others. We cannot change anything about the project. We only can influence others. And big part of the influence is about repetition. Repetition and repetition. True. So yeah.
Yeah, and I would add to that also, not only the reporting and make it visible, what have you been doing and so on, but also sort of having those discussions. I mean, when we say learn to talk about testing, I mean, having generally discussions about testing, what testing is, sort of explaining maybe the subtleties of testing.
Exactly.
Why things need to be done in a certain way, what we actually need, what misunderstandings there might be regarding regards to testing.
That's so true. Yeah.
So also sort of working as a coach for the team to better understand, and also finding out where can you actually serve the team, the developers, and what would they want. So sort of make yourself accessible also.
And like one of the things, like going from underpaid to like subtly overpaid, that would be the preference for many, I would say. But one of the big things is that like you really need to believe that you're valuable first, because it's really difficult to do it otherwise. I hear dogs barking in the background. I'm not sure if you hear that dogs barking, but if you don't, maybe we can add those in the post-production or something like that. So, but anyways, like the first step is that you really need to start believing yourself that actually I could make more, you know. And then when you start to believe those thoughts, then you start to work in a way that would bring more value, and then it would be so much easier. Then you need to learn to ask. So you're gonna go to your boss and just ask them for more pay. Eventually you gotta ask, because no one else is just like pour money to you. You gotta just like demonstrate, this is the value that I bring to the table. This is the thing that you I'm pretty sure that you're gonna live without. So maybe you could hire someone else, but that's too much hassle. So maybe why not give me a raise? So here's the raise that I propose, 10% or something like that. And just like learn how to like present your case, and that's how it will go. And part of the belief that I want to add this, because like I think we're already a bit over time here, but I want to add this about the belief. So it boils down to the question that, do you think that like your income is on a certain level? So is it possible to someone else make double the income on the same amount in the same amount of time? So maybe it is, probably someone else can make double the income. Am I right?
Yeah, probably.
So the question, is it possible for someone else to make 4 times the income that you're making in the same amount of time? Then it probably is. Is it possible for someone else to make 10 times the amount of income that you're making? And then you start to question, maybe not, maybe. But I can tell it is. Just go look at like the salary distribution across the globe.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's possible to like make any amount of income, but you only have to figure out what's the value that you bring to the table compared to that income. So if someone can make a revenue stream grow, double the revenue from 3 million to 6 million, then it's probably possible that the value that you bring is worth something like a lot, And then there is like this, then you have a case, on negotiating your price.
Right.
So you got to demonstrate the results, and then you have to make your case to have negotiation. You got to believe that, I actually could make double also someday.
Yeah.
So that would be like the approach, like tweaking your belief. So anything is possible. So you only have to figure out the way.
True.
And commit yourself to it. So but I feel like we answered the question, going from overworked, underpaid to
both sides of it.
So So if it's the opposite, like going from underworked to overpaid.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that would be good.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But anyways, like I think there is like this subtle like balance to things. So maybe you can take some things of value from this. But anyway, should we conclude the episode here?
Yeah, I think we can.
Yeah. So, if you feel like there was any value for you in this episode, please don't hesitate to hammer the like button and send your comments into the field below or beside or wherever the comment field is. Share your thoughts, and if you have comments for future questions for the future episodes, please don't hesitate to post them. And please share the episode with someone else who may benefit from it, because this way we can improve the world of software together. And if you are not there already, navigate yourself to proof.guru/insiders, and that way you can join the insiders, where you get to come to our studio for live streaming sessions, live webinars, and you get to enjoy the new episodes of testgurutv way before everybody else does in the world. So join proof.guru/insiders. So that's it for the episode of today.
Thank you for joining us. See you in the next episode.
Take care and bye.
Bye.